For all new and current subscribers, welcome back to Resilient Love.
Resilient is being able to overcome difficult situations. This podcast is about love,
tips on life, and how to level up in your business. Let's get started on the journey.
Hey guys, we're back with another episode.
Resilient Love.
Thank you so much. You did a great job. All right, so this episode, I'm sorry you guys, y'all missed us, but we're back. So this episode is about Love Thy Culture. We're celebrating Black History Month. So, what are some things you think about when it comes to Black History Month? Like, as soon as you hear Black History Month, what's the first thing you start saying?
MLK.
And we all know that Black history is more than just Dr. King. But we are not exposing ourselves or doing the research to know. I mean, do you even know about your local history?
Not enough.
I mean, you know something.
Some. Yeah, some.
Yeah.
And some stuff I know, I'm like, do we want to dig in that one? But
Right. That's true, too. There's some Black history that you kind of want to leave in the past. But
history is not supposed to be left in the past because history is actually the route to the answers that's needed in the future for those that's willing to seek, and they shall find.
Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to bring some resources on this episode. So this first resource is coming from history.com, and it's actually discussing the origins of Black History Month. It goes on to say that the story of Black History Month begins in 1915, half a century after the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States. It goes on to say that September, the Harvard-trained historian Carter G. Woodson and the prominent minister Jesse E. Moreland founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, an organization dedicated to researching and promoting achievements by Black Americans and other peoples of African descent. Known today as the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, the group sponsored a National Negro History Week in 1926, choosing the second week of February to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. The event inspired schools and communities nationwide to organize local celebrations, establish history clubs, and host performances and lectures. Wow. So this goes way back. Mm-hmm. But actually, it has expanded since the origin because it began in 1915, and then the group took over and made National Negro History Week in 1926. So within almost a 10-year time span, 11-year time span, it transitioned from just kind of reading about and doing research to actually doing celebratory activities. And now we have a whole month because it said a week. So, what are your thoughts, though, on the origins?
It really shows the power of Black people. Mm-hmm. It shows that collectively we are stronger together, and which is the reason why today versus 1915, 1926, we don't see this as much. It's almost like history is getting canceled. It's almost like it's not taken as important,
right,
as it was in those days. And in such a short period of time, look at what they were able to accomplish. And now with modern technology and all the other resources that we have, we could do so much more, especially with them having so much less than what we have now.
Right. And if you guys heard when I read it, like, they dedicated it to researching and promoting. So you can't promote what you don't know.
Right.
And I think, as my husband was saying, we have to learn, we have to dig and become knowledgeable and have that awareness of those that created things, because there are some type of there's a thin line between love and hate. But it's a thin line in this history, right? Why have we went from just having research time to dedicating a week to now dedicating a month? Is that enough? Do you all agree with that? Black history being minimized
to a month?
To a month.
Of course not.
To 28 days.
Of course not.
If we're lucky.
The shortest day of the...
Shortest month.
Shortest month of the whole year, so of course not.
We got leap year this year, y'all, so we got an extra day on the calendar.
And the history is so rich, it can't be minimized to 1 month. But what I will say is that I would like to see more inclusion in our history within the public school system.
Exactly. And me as an educator, I can honestly say, my mentor and my evaluator, we had a conversation literally Thursday about teaching the children, teaching the preschoolers, the 4 and 5-year-olds, about Black history and minimizing it to the 2-week period that we teach. And she was saying to me, Brianna, you can incorporate what Black historians have done, Black inventors have done at any given point of your lesson, at any given point of the year, not just February X dates, but any point of the year. I could bring up Rosa Parks. I could bring up Alfred Carley. I could bring up Philip Downing. I don't have to wait. Do y'all know who those people are? Do you know who those people are?
Some of them.
Okay. You mean the first name?
Yeah.
For the record, you guys, Alfred Carley is the man who invented the ice cream scoop. Philip Downing is the man who created the street mailbox. So the same mailboxes that's at your house and the ones that's blue that say U.S. Mail, yes, an African American created that.
Wow, we see who's been going to class lately. But anyway.
But did you know the NAACP was founded on February 12th, 1909, the centennial anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln?
I thought I was supposed to be the history teacher, but...
school them.
No, you got it. I think you're doing an awesome job.
You're doing a great job, too.
No.
But we could go on and on about the history, the foundation of why. But we want to switch gears and talk about Black history today. So I'm going to turn it over to my husband.
Of course she will. Since 1976, every American president has designated February as Black History Month and endorsed a specific theme. The Black History Month 2020 theme is African Americans and the Vote, which is in honor of the centennial anniversary of the 19th Amendment, 1920, granting women's suffrage and the Lord Jesus, help me.
Sesquicentennial. Sesquicentennial.
See, it's good to have a partner. Good to have a reading partner. Of the 15th Amendment of 1870, giving Black men the right to vote. In the radical Reconstruction period that followed the Civil War, newly freed Black men made great political gains, winning office in southern states legislators, and even Congress, the Southern black backlash was swift and marked by the passage of black codes designed to intimidate black voters, prompting a call for formal national legislation on the right to vote.
So, woo.
Woo, woo,
woo. So, guys, this information has really blown our minds when we found it, because it was just like, we don't really take it back to the foundation. And, of course, what Quentin just read about the 2020 thing being African Americans and the vote. So I want us to sit right here for a second, because we all know that it is voting time. It is a political season. We know on our local and our national levels, even it's just very evident that we need to vote. We need to vote. And the theme this year is very relevant. Because African Americans are the population or the ethnic group that does not go out and vote. We lack that consistency in our nation.
And the funny part is that we make up a mass majority. Along with Hispanic. But the difference is Hispanics have a more difficult time voting versus us, because they're
still battling their
rights as far as being legal in the United States.
Exactly.
Every day, every hour, every minute. And I used to work in a field that dealt with some forms of immigration. So,
right.
Especially when we had this presidential change. One of the most phenomenal, I ain't gonna call no names, but you all know. Most phenomenal of all times. There were a lot of, I can't say illegal, because I don't have the facts in front of me right now. But I will say unethically wrong.
Right, ethically wrong, yeah. Yeah, and so we wanted to set the stage for why we're talking about love thy culture. You have to love thy culture because this is the family in which you were born into. There was this big scene or report when the Caucasian woman kept saying, well, I consider myself black. Before people did their research into her background and to her ethnicity, people actually believed she was a black woman. And I know I will put the article in the description, but in essence, my point of bringing her up is to say people can try to relate themselves or compare themselves or to try to attach themselves, but this is our culture.
You can't create wombs like ours.
You can't create the wombs. People, I know we've heard it before, people love to try to imitate. They even try to,
It's everything. It's the dance, the music, the cooking.
They try. They, as in cultures that's outside of African Americans. Right. They represent that.
So here's the thing that's significant, and I hope people catch this that's listening. Why is it that everybody creates their things or what they do socially? Why do they create it around? They pull from this culture,
right,
and implement it into their culture, but blacks tend to not understand the power, the true power that lies within. And I mean, it's almost like, what was the movie?
Lion King.
No, not no Lion King.
Just Mercy.
No, not Just Mercy, sweetie. Black Panther. Help, thank you, goodness. God knows. Thank you, God.
Well,
it's just like Black Panther.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. It was just like Black Panther when you just felt the power.
Yeah.
And if we could ever get to that mindset, that mental
If we can
state,
tap into the spirit of the Black Panther,
that's unstoppable.
yes.
Now, granted, there's a lot of things that is in place to make sure that does not never happen. But just as we, as people, have overcame slavery, we can overcome anything. We are the true survivors. We have survived what most people couldn't.
And you know, we still to this day, you know, that was back in the 60s. We still to this day have to fight. There's still a prevalent and evident fight.
Each era had its own fight.
Yeah.
From the 1700s, 1800s, up until it just continuously changed. As you even see, it goes back to when we first started with 1915, 1926. Fast forward, you go to the Civil Rights Movement era. That was in the 50s and the 60s. Things did smooth out in the 70s a little bit, but you still had some underlying, which it wasn't so boastfully out there, which is more dangerous than anything, because now you don't know what's being planned amongst you in the background.
Which that can really be said about the last year, 2 years. About the leadership. You know, those who you put, this is a pin. We're putting a pin in the topic for a second, because I just want to say this quick point. You know, whoever you have in leadership, it does dictate the culture. So whoever's in leadership is going to change the climate. Let me give you weather terminologies. So whoever's the meteorologist, they are going to give you a report. And most of us, when we watch the news and we look at the meteorologist, we're listening, we're taking notes, or however we decide to dissect or intake the information. And we build or create our outfits, and we plan out our day based on the timeline in which was given from the meteorologist, okay? That's the climate. What I'm now saying is, if the meteorologist gets it wrong, you now have a doubt in your leader. If the meteorologist gets it right, now you feel like, I'm so glad I listened to that person. So what I'm saying is, the person in leadership dictates the culture. It dictates who's going to continue to follow and who's going to step back and try to do their own thing. There's some people who I go to work where they're like, what's the weather supposed to be today?
I mean, it's even evident, like, I don't think people, here's the part about leadership of today versus back in the day. The first part of it, respecting the authority. Respecting the leadership. That's the most important, because once you understand that you have to respect the position, respect the leader within yourself, because you have to lead the people. It's more of accountability to self, and understanding what I do will affect those I can't even reach or see. And so when you're leading and you have a mass
of people
listening to you, that's heavy. And so from the leaders of, you know, the 50s and the 60s era, I feel like they got it.
They understood that power that was on them to be the leader.
And then once the, you know, kind of like the mid 70s, in the 80s, it was a shift.
Because they felt like we got the power. We got the power now. We have rights now. So we can do what we want to do now.
You can never think you have enough rights when you have been in bondage for hundreds of years.
And you know, the second point about the leadership is this. Now, Quentin, help me out with this topic, because are we switching gears to leadership because it took leaders to create the history in which we now call Black history. And so I'm thinking about today, and of course the theme of 2020 is Americans and the vote. And I think about how, you know, in society, if a African American is in leadership, sometimes the peers, their black peers, feel as though, well, now we have Quentin in leadership. He gonna do what's right for us.
Oh, it's like he got magic powers.
He's gonna make the difference because he's black. I gotta say it raw today, you guys.
Well,
my question to you is this. When we hear those phrases of now we have Quentin or an African American person in leadership, we get excited, first of all, because a lot of times we don't see us in leadership first.
sure, it's a history of not seeing us.
Right. So when we finally get the role, of course we're excited, but at the same time, some of our peers take advantage of the fact that an African American is in leadership. So if you heard or if you were amongst the people saying that, what would your response be?
First of all, a good leader is only as good as his people. So you have to think in account of, you have to transform the thinking. The thinking, like you described it, is what can I get out of him?
Correct.
See, that's like me and you. How can I gain from your political position? The problem with that is it should be, how can we gain as a people?
What changes do we have to make? Not just you and your leadership role,
right,
but me as a lay person or a community person. How can I help whatever vision you have?
So, and this goes for any leader, but especially black leaders, because I feel like it's such a stigma on black leaders.
It's a stigma on black leadership, period.
In so many areas.
It doesn't even matter what area it is. When you see an African American in leadership, I mean, let's talk about Barack, first African American president, number 44. People looked at him like...
Well, I think what builds a stronger leader is, well, it can go both ways, but definitely the support.
Yes.
Now, granted, everybody's not going to support you on everything. I don't support everything, but we can do things respectfully.
We can respectfully disagree.
Agree to disagree. And by doing so, we create a culture of, for one, diverse thinking.
That's right.
Diverse thinking actually gets more results.
It does. It broadens the perspective.
One of the main things I know that affects black people is law. There is so many laws on the books that we do not know about. They can help us or hurt us. And the problem comes in when we don't know.
Yeah.
So
what you don't know really can hurt you.
And I say this to say, because you brought up the point of leadership. So what we should do is help to empower our black leaders.
Yes.
Just because they're in a leadership position, just because it's a political arena or any type of leadership position, that does not mean they know everything.
Correct.
That does not mean they know what's all that's wrong. It is the accountability of you as a citizen, a supporter, we hope.
Supporter, yeah.
To bring that to that leader's attention.
Now
then it falls on the leader. Now the leader needs to be effective in the way granted, we all are busy. But a great leader learns how to
manage,
multitask, and manage through structure.
That's
and
right.
chains of command. I believe every leader with a strong team.
Yeah. It takes a strong team to back up.
I mean, look at the voter rights bill that got passed in the 60s. Look at how much supporting team. They didn't have texting, FaceTime, nothing. They had
Come on. Phones and paper.
Oh, not email, typewriter.
USPS. Yeah. U.S. mail.
Well, I was told by a customer service, you mean snail mail.
Yeah, because it moves slow.
But think about it. Back in the day, how much stuff could have got done a lot quicker if they had the technology we have today? But the appreciation, see, the harder the fight sometimes,
the more you appreciate it.
Right. The more muscle you get.
Yeah, because you got to build. It's like you're in the gym. You're building endurance. When you have to do all that extra running, walking, driving, calling.
Before protein powder.
Right. Before the mixtures, you just had to work on getting built.
Exactly. So which creates more muscle, creates endurance.
It creates a natural desire and drive.
So it's
to work.
But it's a 2-part fold on leadership and the people.
It goes together.
Yeah.
But I had to take it to the left because I wanted us to really have a holistic view of Black history, because there have been a history of leadership even without the presidential role, which we thank God for that role. But we had leaders on the local level that were African American and were respected. And what I'm saying is, as we progress on, we have to respect those in leadership. As you already stated, we may not agree with the person, but you have to respect the leadership role, the place in which they have been positioned in. And
then also, you have to learn not to badmouth. You have to learn to...
Because that's what really creates discord in the community, in the culture.
You have to go to that leader.
Go to the head.
And have a conversation. They don't know that you feel some type of way. They don't... I mean, and granted, they could be right, wrong, or indifferent, whatever. Because granted, I have had to make some decisions, and it might have not been a popular one. It might have not been the right one. It might have... Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the decision I had to make. It's just as if when you have to make a decision in the midst of pressure, that's when you're really tested the most.
Right.
You know, with today's world, with all the stuff going on around the globe now, okay, why did he do this? Well, we should have did this. Well, at that time, this is what I feel is the best move to make at the time.
At that time. It's a new time now.
Right. I can't say if I feel that it's the best decision. I'm trying to make it as inclusive as possible, even though it's me making the decision, that it affects the lives of other people. So it's not just like I'm going off the dome like, well, this is what I think.
Take it.
Yeah. It's not like I'm trying to say my words are the gospel. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm using the position to try and make the best decision for the people.
That's good. And you know, with the foundation of Black history, the leadership, the chain of command, the things like that, you know, it makes you think, do other organizations support Black history? Like, it makes you think. Like, I know as an African-American woman, as an African-American, Quentin as an African-American man, you know, we want to have our peers to support or love the culture. But you also want to see those that may not know Quentin and Brianna to support your culture. Yes, African-Americans should, but what about others? So there's one particular company we wanted to highlight on this episode, and that is McDonald's. McDonald's theme is Black History 365. The short term is 365 Black. All day, every day, you are Black. And McDonald's is one particular organization that has made it an evident move that they want to shine a light on everything good. So they created a movement called Black and Positively Golden. It is a movement to uplift communities through education, empowerment, and entrepreneurship. It tells stories of truth, power, and pride, and focuses on the people and places that are the greatest expression of Black excellence. You can follow them on Instagram. We are Golden. WeAreGolden. Check the description box for more. We really love the fact that McDonald's.
Alright, so you're gonna look at me. Okay, I'll just tell it. I ain't a big fan of the food. I'm not.
But
I eat the tenders though.
yeah. But our point of bringing up McDonald's is to also bring up Miss Nicole. She's actually an African American franchisee of McDonald's. Her and her mother and her sister came together and actually bought a McDonald's.
I like the representation.
Yes.
The diverse and the inclusion that is creating within our culture.
Yes.
So, see, again, I'm being an example of exactly what I just talked about. I may not agree with the food, but I'm supporting the
ideas.
Yeah, the ideas that
and the community aspect of
the growth in diversity and inclusion for our people to be able to have ownership, something that's very rare in our culture.
Something that's very rare. And I love the fact that these women came together. I want to read a snippet. This next resource is coming from Black Enterprise. And this is a 2018 article featuring women with 13, did you hear me? 13 McDonald's franchises and counting. This was in 2018, so we need to figure out, did they get any more? This is 2020.
More than likely, because McDonald's is increasing daily.
So, Patricia Williams from Compton and McDonald's franchise have enabled her to build an empire of 13 locations across Los Angeles, employing over 700 people in the community. Not to mention, it's also allowed Williams to work alongside her daughters, Nicole and Carrie, who are already in position to carry on her legacy. Now that's 365 Black right there.
I like it because you gotta. I take the. So go back. I want to something I noticed. 13. You gotta do the math now. 13 locations across Los Angeles, employing over 700 people. What's the number one thing that every community needs? Employment.
Yes.
Some means of income.
Correct.
That don't mean you got to stay there forever.
You ain't got to stay there.
But you need something.
My foundation was McDonald's. Shout out to Miss Kimberly Rouse for allowing me, hiring me, helping me to be a hardworking, consistent employee. So I enjoyed my time with McDonald's.
The one thing I will say is that, you know, with the diversity and blacks having some inclusion within the business now, it leaves room to grow to be even more diverse, not just for blacks, but everybody in thinking and serving and service and just overall as a company. think about starting back in the day when McDonald's first started versus now. You would have never saw that.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows you if we really get in position, we can really have a voice.
Yeah.
I know that whole at the table has been kind of a trending thing, but there are sometimes that this is the end of part 1. Catch us on part 2. Thanks so much for listening to Resilient Love Podcast. We wanted to take this opportunity to also let you know that you can help us by committing to a monthly fee of 99 cents, $2.99, or $9.99. Those contributions help us to keep this movement of resilient love going. Blessings to all listeners and subscribers. Thank you all.
Resilient love.